Hey everybody, this is me, the Undead Viking, and this is Co-op, the cooperative game about running a co-op. Yes, exactly, a co-op. A co-op like supermarket or a co-op market. In my hometown of Fargo, North Dakota, there has been for as long as I can remember a place called Toshi Products, which is a co-op. It is run by, well, let's just say a little bit of the fringe people in our neighborhood or whatever. They're obviously, and they're still the same people that owned it, as far as I know, when I was a kid, are still the same people that own it now. And it was just, they sold all manner of, well, really cool stuff, actually. I really always enjoyed going to that store. I went there with my older brother and my dad a lot. And it was just kind of a cool place where they just had stuff that for sale that you would never find anywhere else. But anyway, regardless, a co-op is just that. It is a kind of a hippy-dippy place where, you know, people are selling all kinds of crazy, kooky stuff. And they are classically the opposition to the man, if you will. So this game, Co-op, is about your co-op that you are running with all the other players at the table that is beset with some sort of you know, burden, if you will, that you need to fight against and complete. And the basic version is like, basically there's this corporate takeover, but you'll see that when I show you how to play the game. The game is a heck of a lot of fun. It is a cool little theme, and it is a co-op that I found to be highly enjoyable for a lot of reasons. So let me show you how the game is played, and we'll come back here and I'll tell you more in my final thoughts. Alright, so this is Co-op, where each of you are going to be an employee of your local kind of conglomerate co-op market, and each person is going to get a character sheet. I've already gone and taken Hugh Selim as my person that I'm going to be running during this, kind of showing you how to play the game. This game, you know, you can play it solo. You can play with up to 5 people. You know, but when you play it solo, you should play with more than one person. But I found this game to be really good with multiple numbers of people. 3 or 4 seem to be like the best number. I've set this game up for like having 3 people. You're only going to see Hugh Selim as far as I am concerned, but you know, somebody else will be controlling other characters, like theoretically, when you're playing the game. Now, when you take your character, each character has, like, you know, cool, like, picture, of course, and then they have their own little abilities. So, like, here's Cherry Pit Jones. His ability is that he's never bummed. Now, there's this little thing over here, which is your vibe chart. Yeah, exactly. And so, like, you can see other people here have awesome all the way down to bogus, right? But he never gets bummed out. He's always just, Cherry Pit Jones is just totally fine. You can see he is a hippie. Now, that is the kind of character he is. There are hippies, and then there are busies, which, you know, they're like kind of, you know, your squares, if you will, but they actually are you know, in it. They want your business to succeed. And then there's actually this guy, this Weldon Rump Roast. Yes, this game has tons of little puns and plays on words, but he's neither. He kind of splits the middle. And there is one guy, this CP Junior. He's both a hippie and a busy. Now, why these things matter is sometimes there's both good and bad effects that'll only affect hippies, only affect busies, and so forth. And so depending upon which one you are, you'll get certain things. There's always, each person has a special ability. Like here's CP Junior, he has the hustle ability. He can play up to 2 cards during his work action. Normally you can only play 1. And then his vibe is, whenever CP's vibe goes to awesome, he gains a groove card. Groove cards are these action cards. I'll talk about those in just a second. And when his vibe is bogus, he loses his hustle ability. So you have, like, here's one that's cool. Sunshine Free Spirit. Ability is Inspirational Dance. If Sunshine frolics, which is an action you can take, 2 players, one of which may be yourself, gain a vibe. These vibe increases are not limited to okay, like normal frolic. Now, normally, like if you go to, when you frolic at the park, and then you can never actually get your vibe up into groovy or awesome. So Sunshine Free Spirit's actually a pretty common character. A lot of people want to take her, but I found that like a lot of times when you're a Sunshine Free Spirit, like because there's all kinds of things that just drag people down, you know, you end up, that's pretty much all you do, you know. So you know, sometimes like I like getting away from having this person as your character or whatever. But anyway, so each person gets a character and they will then embody that role. Hugh Sellum is a salesman. I'll just show you here. He's a salesman, and he can sell anything to anyone. When Hugh sells goods to customers, he ignores customer preferences. At the start of the game, Hugh must choose to be a hippie or a busy, and then flip this other card. So he can both be a hippie or a busy. Pretty. And then you can't ever switch it back. I chose to make him a hippie, just because, I don't know, he's got a beard like me, and I'm not really a hippie myself, but, you know, I just like the idea of being a hippie, I guess, a little bit. But anyway, so there you go. And then you start out, normally everybody starts out okay, but because the very first day of the week is Monday, and it says, oh man, it's Monday, all players lose 1 vibe. So everybody is in their, like, they're dreary, you know, it's like, oh, it's the beginning of the week. Now, you might be wondering what this little bundle of sticks is. Well, this just basically is like the first player, but not technically the first player, because this is a co-op and everybody's going to be playing their cards at the same time. But basically, that person's job is to move the days forward, and is also to go ahead and use the happenings card and turn those over and you know, show what's happening in the happenings. Now, the way the happenings cards work is each one of those is a day, and before the game begins, depending upon like how difficult of a time you want, and by the number of players, you have a certain number of days that you have to complete the scenario that you're handling. Now, the scenario that we are handling is like the introductory one, which is the Mondo Mart takeover. So basically, the company owes money. We're negative 10 in the red there, and so we have to be able to make some money, and we have to have at least $10, and everybody has to be like, as far as like have a positive vibe, either groovy or awesome, at the end of 9 days. And if we do that, then we stop Mondo Mart from taking over and destroying our co-op. You know, it's kind of like those old ski movies where we gotta make sure we make enough money to save the ski lodge, man. But anyway, so there's other things like kidnapped, and there's other scenarios as well. But you know, so this is the introductory scenario. So you need to make that. You need to have $10, and everybody's got to be happy. And so, for a 3-player game in normal difficulty, you have 9 days. So what you do with this deck, and I'll get the card out, after 9 days, what you do is you have the game over happening. So like, these are basically like event cards, and so then this card is played, the game is over at the end of the day, so you basically have that one last day. And so you slide that in, so that is going to be the 9th day, and you kind of move it out just a little bit, so it looks like this. You know, so you have that one card sticking out. And that's just basically so you can kind of keep an eye on how much time you have left. Now, the reason why you put more of those happenings cards underneath is because there are certain actions that you can have that allow you to take happenings cards to put them on top of the deck, kind of like giving you more days and giving you more chance to possibly pull things off. So the way the game works is very, very simple. The first thing that happens is you turn over a happenings card, you see what happens. So this one, it says, E. coli scare, no customers may be played today. Just happens. Now, when these things happen, you put them over, you know, somewhere to kind of announce it. A lot of these are just that. They happen and they're done. However, and I have kind of stacked the deck just so I can show you one, there are things like this that say keeps happening. So, and then there are electrical problems, and so you have to have 2 people do a cooperative action to actually fix this. Otherwise, this is going to continue to happen after the turn that it occurs. So, you know, they do have some long-lasting effects. But also, I should say that there are ways that people can prevent happenings from occurring. Usually, it's setting themselves up with a continuous groove, which is from your groove cards, and that will then basically set, and then you discard that card to get rid of a happenings card. But usually, obviously, the very first turn, you turn that over, that's what happens. Now we can't play any customers this round, and since we can't play any customers, we can't sell any of our goods, and we can't make any money, which is bad because we need to make money. So, just quickly showing what else you have here. As I said, you have this park where you go to frolic, you take your frolic action there. This is the yoga studio. When you go to the yoga studio, you get to meditate, and allows you to draw 2 groove cards. This is a kind of weird game where a lot of times you'll be playing cards a lot on your turn to do certain actions, but you can't normally just always draw a card. If you're going to go frolic, you don't get to draw a card. Things like that. So there's things, it isn't one of those things where you have your 5 cards. And I should mention, you notice how my 5 cards are out like this? This is a game where you actually lay your cards out so everybody can see them. You just put them out, and you don't hold them in your hand. It's a cooperative game. Everybody can see the cards that you have, and I like that. I mean, there's games out there that are cooperative where, you know, for whatever reason, thematically or whatever, you have the cards in your hand, but, you know, you can pretty much just tell people what you have for the most part. But, you know, yeah, so I just like the fact, just cards on the table, everybody sees what they have, and everybody can look at what everybody has, and they can kind of discuss the options. So I like this. So, but here's your 5 cards. You have a maximum of 5 cards. That's your hand limit. But when you get rid of cards, it doesn't necessarily mean you need to draw some. So eventually you end up having to go to the yoga studio to meditate. You either get 2 groove cards, or if you don't have any groove cards, you get 3. Or if you're willing to discard a card, you get 3 new groove cards. So, cool stuff. Now, here we have the store, and we have the warehouse. The store is where we can sell our goods. We have 3 things out here. Like, here is tie-dye underpants. And so it is a fair trade and knick-knack. The reason why it says that on there is because customers will come up and say, I want a fair trade item, and they're willing to pay for it. I want a knick-knack item, they'll pay for it. So that's how you get rid of it. They also, and the storefront has a maximum of 5 items available. So we can get more goods that are there. However, the warehouse is where we are actually, at the end of the day, you know, we're able to bring goods from the warehouse and put them, you know, into our storefront. But normally, you know, we're kind of stuck in a situation where, you know, we can't. You know, it's like you have to play. You know, there's cards you can have that are actually going to be able to help you move those over. But for the most part, it's like, you know, we have a warehouse where the items are, but they aren't for sale yet. We have to get them over there. But the warehouse is a maximum of 9 goods, and you have cards that are distributors, which is like right here, that you can play. And if you play as a distributor, then you can purchase goods from them, and you know, and put them in your warehouse, so you have more things available. So that's kind of like the economy of the game as far as like shuffling your items back and forth. Last but not least, there's the cooperative actions. They're over here. When you take a cooperative action, what you'll be doing is you will be putting your figure down, which is represented by you, and then somebody else will go there. And if at least 2 of you are there, then you can take one of these cooperative actions. Like here you have the warehouse run. So the warehouse run says 2 or more players can make a run to the warehouse. Each player making the run may move 1 good of their choice from the warehouse to the storefront. So just like I said, that is one way you can get goods to the storefront so you can have them available to sell. But you have to have at least 2 people that are willing to go ahead and do that. Otherwise, and that's like the cooperative nature of this game. When is your turn to take actions, be it, you know, playing a groove card, which I'm going to talk about groove cards last, but playing a groove card, you know, going to go frolic, going to the meditate, doing a cooperative action, or if you go to the same place as somebody, you can also just say, I'm going to trade cards, so you can walk over and then the 2 of you can trade cards back and forth. All of that is discussion that everybody's going to be having and trying to decide what you're going to be doing, what's the best option for you at that time. And then you just go ahead and each person does their one action, you know, and you decide, you do your action, then I'll do mine, then you do mine, and so forth. And you just kind of go around the table and you finish that up. Now, the last thing, as I said, are groove cards. Groove cards are pretty simple. You have groove cards that are like customers. And so we can't play customers technically because of that event or happening, if you will. But Judy will buy 2 goods for $3, but she's not a co-op member. And that's, you know, one of the things about having a co-op is that you're a member of the co-op. And, you know, if you're not familiar with that, you know, I'll talk a little bit about that in my final thoughts. But so if you do that, people, your customers that are paying you their dues, if you will, they get kind of annoyed that like you're letting the squares in, if you will. So one hippie lose one vibe, and then only buys goods both edible and organic. So if you had 2 edible or organic goods, you could sell those to Soccer Mom Judy, and you can make $3, and you'd adjust that like so. Now you have this guy, the disheveled guy. A slacker buys 1 good for $1. He's a co-op member, but he has no preference. So you can just go ahead and sell anything to him. Now, here is one of those continuous group cards I talked about. Your mama taught you well, and your enthusiasm is contagious. This card stays in play until it's triggered. This card may negate for all players any happenings card that causes you to lose a turn. So this is one of the, if you take your groove action, which allows you to play a card, you'd take this card and you'd kind of place it off to the side of your player, and you'd wait for a happening to happen where somebody would lose a turn, and then you could play that and prevent that from happening. Alright, so, and here's a distributor card. I talked about that. For $1, purchase 2 random goods. If a busy plays this card, get an extra good of your choice, and then all of the goods go to the warehouse. That's how you get more things in there. And then Instagroove. You recognize Amando Montler you went to school with. You convince him to help you if you want. You may move the bottom happenings card to the top of the happenings deck, but you may not look at it. So, so that's one of those things, as I told you, that gets the happenings card up to the top. So after everybody takes their actions, you're going to go ahead and you are, Monday, we'll go ahead and you'll switch it over to Tuesday. Tuesday is always slow. One player may play an extra card in a work action if someone else does nothing today. So, you can, in each day, I should just show you each day so you can kind of see. So then on Tuesday, hump day, player loses 1 vibe, but 1 different player gains 1 vibe. Thirsty Thursday, all distributors are at a weekly meeting today. No distributor can be played today. And Friday is, Friday weekend's almost here. All players gain 1 vibe. Now, so, and this is where you can place your happenings cards as well. Now, you notice that these, on this side, there is nothing going on there. This is kind of like if you want to play like an advanced game, so each day actually has a certain thing that happens. You don't have to play with this side if you don't want to. I do, because I just think it adds a little more fun to the game and a little more variability. And it does add to like kind of the plotting and the planning of the day as well. So, it's just an added little wrinkle, if you will. Now, as I said, not every action allows you to take groove cards. So that's one of the big things I really liked about this. There's so many games out there that it's just like you play a card, you automatically get a card. You will end up burning through cards. You will end up handing cards away to other players. You'll end up with like less cards, and you have to kind of take a turn to kind of build up your cards by going to the yoga place. And also, it's like the resources are cards, their money, and the vibe. And it is a very, very delicate balance that you're always playing. There's all these different, like these 3 different levers that you have to always maintain and take care of. And the cool thing is that each one of these different characters has a certain ability or a certain thing that they're very good at. And, I found that when I played with 5 players, even though you didn't have much time, in a 5-player game you have 5 days in a normal, so you only have 5 turns to be able to accomplish what you're doing. But I found with 5 players it was kind of easier, just because you could split up the different abilities, the different actions, and everything like that, so everybody could have exactly what they needed to be able to succeed, and it seemed like pretty simple. But when you had less players, like even though you had 9 days of 3 players, because of the fact that you didn't have, for example, you didn't have a Sunshine Free Spirit, or you didn't have Lee Goldbrief, who is a very, very, very good character to have, because her ability here, I'll show it to you. When a happenings card's police raid or injunction comes up during the happenings, Lee may discard 2 cards to negate completely the happening for everyone. And, because, she's a lawyer, obviously. And that's a very, very important ability to have, because those happenings cards are really, really devastating. So, it's something where, if you have 3 players, you're not going to have access to all the cool special abilities that these different people have, and it makes it more difficult. So I really thought the sweet spot was 3, maybe 4, but 3 was a really, really, really good game. My wife and my daughter and I had a lot of fun playing this one. But it is challenging, it is fun, and it passes my test for cooperative games, and I'll talk about that in my final thoughts. Alright, thank you very much for learning how to play co-op. So I mentioned that it passed my cooperative game test. There is this little checklist I go through with every co-op game. Does the co-op game beat me the first time I play it? Because I haven't played it before, I shouldn't have any clue how to win. I shouldn't have any idea how the cards are going to work, how the mechanisms work, whatever, so it should kick my butt the first time I play. And yes, the game totally kicked my butt. I liken it to like me sitting down to play a game with somebody who knows exactly how to play the game and I have no clue. That person should beat me into the ground, and then I learn a little bit and then I come back. Do I feel like this is a general telling everybody what to do game? I always hate that in a cooperative game. I don't like when one person just kind of just sits there and says, you go there, you go there, you go there, you go there. Now, as I've always said, that can happen in almost any cooperative game just because of the fact that there is a force of personality thing going on, and one person can kind of just be, you know, leading the charge, if you will. But sometimes games, like, kind of put people into that position, like when you play a cooperative game where one person is like the captain or something like that, and they're the person that is telling people what to do. You know, I don't like that. A cooperative game should be everybody kind of talking, interacting, discussing, saying, hey, what should we do in this situation, type of thing, and then coming up with a mutually decided purpose or action that they're going to do on any given turn. And I think co-op does that very well. Finally, is it difficult? I don't like cooperatives that get easy. Yeah, yes, it should beat me the first time, but if I like get really, you know, if I start grokking the rules and grokking what I have to do each and every single turn, then you know, sometimes games can become way, way too simple. And when that happens, I don't like it. I should, you know, I mean, yes, you'll get used to games, and that's when you kind of up the difficulty, you know, to keep it challenging for yourself. But you still, in my opinion, you know, even if you really, really know what you're doing, maybe at best, win 1 every 2 times you play. But I really feel like you should win, like, you know, 25, 30, 40, 35% of the time when you play a cooperative game. Because of the fact that, like, if you play a 4-player game, as I say, and everybody's equal at the table, then you should only win 1 out of every 4 times, and I really feel that's the same way the cooperative game should work. I should have to earn that victory. It should feel good. Now, that being said, I think this game is a little lighter as far as, I mean, maybe it's just the theme or whatever, but I do feel that it is sufficiently challenging. I mean, you can be just totally, you know, crushing the money. You know, you got tons of money, you don't got to worry about it, you're doing great with it, you're selling lots of goods, but everybody's all dreary or okay with their vibe, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, we don't have the, like, sunshine pants character to make everybody happy, you know. So you have those types of situations in the game where you have to kind of equivalate your resources and try to make sure that you maintain all those different levels and you know, to get that victory. And you know, it is a difficult game for all of its like cuteness or whatever. Yes, it isn't like the most difficult co-op I've ever played. You know, it isn't, you know, like an Arkham Horror with all the expansions or whatever. But it is a very challenging game, and it has a cute kind of fun little theme. It has fun little economy as well. I mean, I really, really like that. I've played a few co-ops with an economy in it, you know, kind of thing. But I really like the whole, you know, buy stuff from a distributor, get it to your warehouse, figure out a way to get that stuff from the warehouse to your store, and then you can put it for sale. You know, I like that aspect. I like that kind of like hop, skippity, jumpity thing that's going on there. And the rules are actually kind of funny. Like, they talk about the goods having like a lifespan where it's like they start in the distributor, they go to the warehouse, they go to your store, they get sold, they go in the discard pile only to be reshuffled and then put back into the distributor once again. So it's like kind of like, oh wow, how wonderfully hippie that is. You know, nice recycling it, man, saving the earth, if you will. And that last thing I wanted to say is, like, as I use my stupid voice there, is that this is a game where it is enhanced. It's a lot more fun if each person can kind of get into their role. If you are going to be playing, you know, Sunshine Star Pants or whatever her name is, you know, like, that person should totally be like, hey, let's just go to the park, man. It's going to be awesome. We can play frisbee golf. It's going to be super, stuff like that, And then the people that are all business are like, you stupid hippies, we need to make money, And so, like, it's fun, like, being on both sides of that. And so when you can kind of embody the role that you have in the game, it just adds a lot to the fun of the game as well. So there you go. If you're looking for a quirky, fun, but challenging cooperative game, I strongly suggest you take a look at co-op and see if it would fit that niche that you're looking for in your gaming collection. If you have any questions about the game, ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best I can. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. And until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right, bye-bye.